Hey everybody, welcome to CIS 245. This is for the summer semester of 2015 from Dakota State University. My name is Josh Stroschein and I will be your instructor for the entire 12 weeks of this course. The purpose of this video is introductory only, so I'll spend some time here introducing myself as well as the course, how the course is going to run, the resources that you're going to need, and really get you hopefully prepared to hit these next 12 weeks running and maximize the amount of learning that you're going to get out of this course. Okay, so this is more or less what we're going to cover. Intro to CSI 245. Who I am, syllabus review, course overview. We'll look at the different resources that we'll be leveraging, and then I also have a tentative schedule. Keep in mind that there's a good chunk of this that will be subject to change. I will and have in the past, as I have taught this course a couple of times now. I will make the course dynamic based off your feedback, and so if you guys are encountering any issues in any particular area or you want to explore something in more detail, just let me know and I would be more than happy to spend some more time doing that. So first of all, what are we going to learn? What is CIS 245? CSI 245 is relatively unique at Dakota State in that it is offered, it's offered pretty much throughout the entire year, but depending on who teaches it, your experience can vary pretty drastically. Oftentimes on campus, when it's a 16-week version, you'll have several faculty members that teach it, and so that can give you a pretty broad perspective into each of that faculty member's respective areas of expertise. With this 12-week version over the summer, then I will be the sole instructor, and so the goal that I want to get, what I'm planning on, what we are going to cover in this course is Introduction to Security Fundamentals. The things that I think are important for your further study in whatever program that you're going into, whether that's computer science, cyber ops, network security, or something else. We're going to cover the basics, okay? And so everything is going to be, relatively speaking, at an introductory level. And so that is how we're going to cover the material, and that is how I'm going to provide the labs as well. In order to do that, we're going to use two textbooks, and those are the required textbooks that you should have found on the bookstore online. The Basics of Web Hacking and the Basics of Hacking and Penetration Testing. With the second book, The Basics of Hacking and Penetration Testing, I do believe there are two different versions. You can choose whichever version you want, version 1, version 2, or if there's even a more recent version or updated version, that's fine. Just keep in mind that the version that you purchase might be a little bit different than either the way that I'm talking about it or the way that I've structured a lab. That really isn't that big a deal because one of the things that you'll find in this course, one of the areas that I think will be the most challenging when we start working on the labs is when the book doesn't outline the steps in a way that you can follow it 100%. What do you do? How do you solve that? And in that you'll find you'll need to leverage your resources. You'll need to be creative. And so going through these labs, it's not always going to be just follow the steps and reproduce it in your lab environment. Sometimes you will have to do a little bit of research. And I think that is a very good thing because as someone that works in this field, that is something that you do that I find myself doing on a daily basis, just constantly, continuously. I'm always looking at ways and researching topics. As far as the two books then, The Basis of Web Hacking, we're going to cover all the chapters except 2 because 2 is quite a bit or a considerable amount of overlap in the second book. Same thing with the second book then, we'll cover all the chapters but 5 because there's a considerable amount of overlap in that chapter 5. So we'll make sure that we cover all of that. Overall, the goal is to get a good understanding of the basics of web hacking. So how do web applications work? How is the communication? We'll talk a little bit about protocols such as HTTP and TCP, as well as how do we essentially hack or find security vulnerabilities in an application. And we'll go through that book in its entirety to help us discover that. For the second one, then we'll move on to the network side. And so we'll spend some time looking at basic concepts as well as the tools that everyone should know in order how to perform and do basic security auditing, basic security penetration testing. And so between the two books we'll have, I think, you'll get a very good solid foundation. Outside of that, one of the first labs, and we'll talk about that, or I'll talk about that in our next video, is to set up our own lab environment. Both books will walk you through that, and we'll do that together in our next video, but we're going to use virtual machines locally and not leverage the IA lab. So if you've been a student here for classes prior, you may have used the IA lab, which is virtualization through your browser. We're going to avoid that, and we're going to set up VMs on our own. because I find it very important. It's something that becomes very lacking in a lot of industries, actually, when people do not have that fundamental ability or that fundamental skill to set up and install their own virtual machines, to install the operating system and configure the lab. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we look at the resources, and as I mentioned, especially when we get into the actual next video when we talk about that first lab. So together, all of this is going to be designed to, the videos, the lectures that you guys will watch then should reinforce the concepts out of the chapter. We'll have high-level conceptual discussion as well as some hands-on demos or explanation of the tools or the technology we're working with. Couple that with the reading and the labs, and my goal is to have everything be everything will build upon itself, and so everything will help. The labs, the videos, and the readings will help you to hopefully understand the concepts, and we'll have different ways in which doing that. Videos will give us some auditory and some visual. Reading will obviously be from the reading then, and then the hands-on lab, being able to recreate some of those steps on your own. I will encourage you at this point, because there may be some deviations. You may find as you're going through some of the labs that you can't do everything step by step from the book. Don't get frustrated. Stop, think about what you're doing, think about the problem, and then search for a solution on your own. I will always be able to talk about course communication, and I'm always available. And so never hesitate to send me a question. Let me know if you're getting frustrated. I have not designed any of these labs, or the goal of any of these labs is to create frustration on your end. And so if you're getting frustrated, you need to let me know so that I can help you out. Don't put 15-20 hours into a lab before you contact me, because they're not supposed to take that long, unless you want them to, of course. But if you're getting stuck on something, let me know so I can help point you in the right direction. All right, enough about what we're going to cover. Outside of this, you'll see that with some of the content, I will provide some additional lectures, and we'll cover just some basic security concepts, things that I think you should be aware of or know outside the context of our books. And so there'll be a couple of weeks here where you'll see maybe some additional videos. We'll talk about that when we talk about the schedule. Outside of the material, the content in that books, don't worry about that. That's not a part of the lab. There won't be any quizzes or exams over it, and so it's just there because it's something that I think is important for you to have at least heard once. This is setting the foundation for a lot of your upper-level courses, and so it's important to hear things like defense in depth and layered security and some of those other concepts that we'll talk about. Okay, so course communication. This is a summer course, and so the best way to get a hold of me will be through my email address, joshua.stroschein@dsu.edu. I am the only Joshua Stroschein in the South Dakota Regental system, so you shouldn't have any trouble finding me there. Just make sure, double check your spelling so that you don't send that to the wrong person or you don't get an undeliverable mail. I have no office hours during the summer, and so if you want to set up a time to talk with me, you'll need to let me know. So send me an email, we'll set up a time. I'm not typically in my office over the summer so that I can't answer my phone. I'll provide you with my number, but because I'm not typically there and I don't have an answering machine on it, I typically don't answer. So it's just as easy to send me an email and we can set something up. From there then, we can use the phone, whether that's the phone in my office or my own personal phone at home, or what's probably the easier thing is to do Skype and Google Hangout. Doing either one of those provides us with the ability then for us to also do screen share. So if you're running into an issue with something, then you can show me where you're getting stuck, and then we can walk through that. Additionally, I'll use D2L and post news items in D2L. So for sure, course communication will be going out through the news section, the news item. That'll be on our home page, and we'll look at that in a second here, through D2L. I never use D2L mail. So please, if you do use D2L mail, follow it up with an email to my normal address so that I can check that, because if I'm not checking your D2L mail, you may think that I'm just not responding, and that's not the case. I just simply didn't see it or I haven't checked it, and so I just haven't had a chance to respond. So there should be no reason why you need to use that. You should be able to send everything to this email, but again, if you do, for whatever reason, that's okay, I guess. Just let me know that you did that. With email in general, I should have no problem being prompt to respond. That's usually within that day that you sent me that email, or 24 hours depending on the time. If for some reason I have not responded to you, please don't hesitate to send me a second email. Make sure that one, I received it, and two, that I am going to give you a response. I will respond to everybody. So if I have not responded to you yet and it is urgent, please just feel free to send me again another email. If you send me 5 emails in 5 hours, okay, I might not respond that quickly, so give me a little bit of time to respond. But again, don't hesitate to follow up with me. Everything that we do that will result in a grade for the points for the course, that will be in D2L. So please stay on top of your grade, stay on top of your submissions. I make mistakes from time to time. I will forget to grade something. I get distracted while I'm grading and I skip over someone. I put in the wrong value. Or even D2L sometimes messes up and it doesn't record the grade appropriately. So please stay on top of that, check your grades, make sure that if something doesn't look right that you're letting me know as far as we can in advance so that we can get that issue worked out, especially before we get to the end of the semester. Okay, so if you're running into any difficulties, I hope that I stressed enough that you can contact me, send me an email, and let me know. That is first and foremost what I hope that you will do and feel comfortable doing. Feel free to work in groups, collaborate online. You can use the discussion board. I will not set that up purposely, but if you guys want to use that or need to use that, just let me know and I can get a general discussion item set up for you. You can obviously communicate through the messenger system or email each other directly. That's fine as well. There's usually a wide variety of skill sets or experience in these classes, and so it's great to leverage that. But don't submit identical code. Right, so there's in all of the labs, none of these labs are going to be group-based, and so I expect all of your work to be original and your submissions to be original and authentic as well. If I suspect someone of cheating, or I see that I am getting multiple assignments that are the same or identical, we'll address it at that time. We'll cover that here when we look at the syllabus as well. But please, let's just avoid that if we can. You can use the internet, and I'm going to encourage you to use the internet as a great resource here because, again, not everything we're going to do is going to be 100% step for step out of these books. And that statement, it will make more sense here as we get into the labs. So use that as a resource. I'll point you in the right direction from time to time, or as much as I can, although through some of that process there is a value in learning there. So I won't always be quick to give you 100% of the answer. Read the book. The book's outline a lot of the steps that you're going to have in order to complete the lab. And then, as I mentioned, contact me. Nothing is intended to frustrate you, and nothing is intended to take a large amount of time. There's no lab that's been designed to be 20 or 30 hours. The final might take a little bit of time. We'll talk about that once we get a little bit closer, though. So again, don't hesitate to contact me. See email address here. Okay, as I mentioned, plagiarism, please make your work unique. I will check, and I have tools to help make my checking easier. The way that the labs and the way that you'll submit the labs, that'll make it kind of hard. But again, if you have any questions, then let me know. If you're copying and pasting from any resource online, you're probably, you may not be, well, it's just not good, right? So please just avoid that, and let's avoid that problem altogether. What to expect then? We'll look at a tentative schedule here in just a moment. But overall, the general flow of the course, we have 12 weeks. We're going to start mid-May, and we're going to go till the end of July, early August, I think that first week of August. In general, I'll post a video on Monday and or Tuesday. It's going to depend on if we encounter or the number of holidays that we encounter. We'll have Memorial Day, one of the first weeks into class, and so that'll just delay the videos. The same material you'll be responsible for the same amount of material. We'll just have, I guess, it'll just come a day later. And then whatever happens over spring, 4th of July, right? There is no spring break. There is no extended period of time off. We don't have a week or anything to cause any disruption. So for the most part, that's generally just going to shift when the material is going to be made available. If I expect or anticipate any sort of delay, I will let you know, and I will also update the schedule, which I'll show you in a minute. So you can expect at least one video per week, one lab per week, and on a few of the weeks there'll be multiple videos, okay? But no more than one lab per week. As we get to the end of the semester, we will have a final, but the final will be a lab. It will be hands-on, in which case it'll require you to apply all of the skills that you've learned over the course of the semester to one final project, okay? So no quizzes, at least I'm not anticipating any quizzes, and no exams. Again, if I change my mind for some reason on that, I will let you know and give you plenty of time to prepare and also take those. Keep in mind, it's the basics of security. So this is an introductory course. I want to cover a lot of the basics. So if at any point in time you feel like it's moving too slow, you can let me know. I really want to hear your feedback. But if you start to feel lost, more importantly, let me know that as well so that I can help either provide clarification for you or for the rest of the class. Odds are, if you're confused on something, other people are as well. So please let me know so that I can make changes with that. This is an online course, and because it changes the way that we interact, it's a lot harder for me on this end of things as the instructor to really understand where everybody's at. So the more you communicate with me, the better off we can make this course together. All right, so that's my introductory slides. Here is our course homepage. So we'll start off looking at our course in D2L. And what you're going to see here is that I'm going to use just the default setup or template in D2L. However, there is really at this point very little out of the D2L system that I use. Dropbox for us will be it. Dropbox and potentially quizzes if I create any quizzes. So those will be the primary things. Course home. This course info right here, this first module in the center of your screen, this is going to be where everything is going to be located, right? So office hours, phone number, how to get a hold of me on email or Google+, email. So while we're on the subject of email, please, because I have quite a few students over the course of even the summer, it just helps me to keep my inbox sorted and prioritize things. If you could prefix your subject line with the course number, it's not an absolute requirement or anything, but it helps me out a lot. And that if you send me an email and I know a lab's coming due, then I can prioritize your email and make sure that I get a response to you. Whereas if it's just a random kind of a subject thing, or I'm not really sure when I glance through my inbox, I may not prioritize it appropriately. I know it sounds a little strange, but you would be surprised how many emails I get on a daily basis, and sometimes it's a struggle to keep up, and so this does help me a lot to prioritize that. Normal response time will be within, as I mentioned, within 24 hours during the weekdays. It's possibly going to be longer over the weekends. I am in the National Guard, and so I do have at least one weekend a month, so we'll have 2 or 3 occasions over the course here that I'll be at drill, and I'll just pretty much be not checking email until that Sunday or Monday. Assignment feedback, I will do my best to give that feedback to you usually within a week of the due date, and we'll let you know if I expect significant deviations from that. It's important for me to give you feedback so you understand where you're at in the course, and for us to ensure that you're understanding the concepts as we're going through them. So I will do my best to get that there. All of the material, including the videos, will be delivered. Videos will be YouTube. So there'll be a link here to our playlist. So as the videos become available on that Monday or Tuesday, they'll be uploaded here. You'll be able to go to that playlist and just start watching them in order. I'll number them based off of what you'll see on the schedule. So hopefully there's no confusion or question as to what video corresponds to what week. If you want an alternate format, then you need to let me know, and I can work with you to get those delivered, right? Because one of the things you don't get with this is the ability to download the video. So if that's something you want, let me know. I've been using YouTube now for quite a few semesters, and it seems to work well for a lot of students. So hopefully that is the case for you. But if you want me to change, or if it's just not working out well, you prefer the other way of delivering, so our own in-house DSU system, please let me know that as well. The second piece then, the course material, will be through my Google Drive. Right? So outside of the Dropbox, so for lab submission, everything else is going to be provided at this link right here, which is our Google Drive. So we'll talk about that here in a second as well. Syllabus will be there. Information about me not going to be there. And all my information is posted right here. Let's see. All the slides, all the labs, everything else will be there. News section. As I mentioned, I will post items here in the news section, and then I will try to follow up any news postings with an email directly to you. So hopefully you see those in conjunction or in tandem. However, please check this section here frequently so that you can get any changes to the course, the material, when videos will be available, when labs will be due, communications along those lines. Outside of, so okay, we have course info and we have the news section, then there's a lot of links here. D2L has become more complicated, or at least to a point where I can no longer really figure out how to navigate or change this template. So I'm just going to leave it at the default, which means there's a lot of stuff here we're not going to use. Course home takes you back to this page. So if you get kind of buried or lost in the system, it's always easy to click here and get you to your course home. If you go to assessments then, we'll have Dropbox and quizzes, right? So everything that's due, everything that will have points assigned to it will be either a Dropbox or a quiz, right? So if you choose Dropbox, and I'm the administrator of this particular course, so my view is going to look a little bit different than yours, but you should see the lab, your ability to submit, and when it's due, right? So this is what's going to drive, right here is going to drive expectations for when the lab is due. If you don't see a lab, like right now you don't see lab 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, they're not available, so you don't have to worry about it. So focus on what's displayed and when it is due. Quizzes, much similar display. You'll see there's going to be nothing here, but you will see the quiz, the name of the quiz, and its due date, as well as the number of questions, right? So if we go that route, and I set up any quizzes, again, I will let you know. You'll have plenty of time to take those, and this is where you'll find those within D2L. Same with Dropbox. Okay, so looking at, I believe we start on the 18th of May, which means then that most labs, I'll give you at least a week, if not more, to work on those. So between a week to 2 weeks for most labs. Don't want them to get too strung out or drawn out, but definitely want to give you time to work on those and also accommodate the fact that we're doing this course online. Right? So again, just make sure you're paying attention to those dates. If anything comes up, let me know. Please coordinate with me in advance so that we can figure out a plan and make the appropriate accommodations. Okay, the other section that you'll want to use is grades. I guess I lied, there is one more section in here. Grades, check this. This will give you your grade for each item that has been graded. I oftentimes will grade from the Dropbox, and if you send something to me outside of the Dropbox for grading, then you may not see a grade underneath the Dropbox. So for the most part, you can view your Dropbox and you'll see the points that you get assigned somewhere here in this display. But if you sent it to me outside of the Dropbox, you may only find it in the grades. So just take a moment, and if you're looking for grades, double check the Dropbox, and then check the grades section as well. Okay. Communication. Right. So here's our discussion board or discussion forum. So if there's anything you want to get set up here and use it, please let me know, and I can set up a general forum or topic specific so that you guys can utilize that. I don't use it. I won't probably check it at all, so that'll be largely up to you as an additional resource as a class. All right, so that's pretty much it. You do have a class list that's available to you, so you can check that and see if anybody's in this class that you know, or if you're looking for help and something, so you can leverage that as a resource. If we go back to the home and we follow the link to the Google Drive, what you should see is a folder that looks like this. This will be read-only for you, so you should be able to view and download anything within this folder, but you're obviously not going to make any modifications. We'll have the syllabus here. We'll go over that in just a moment. We also have the schedule, which we'll cover as well. As far as these other components then, right, so we'll have all the slides that I use, you're going to be able to view and download from within this Google Drive account. The labs will be posted in here as well as the Dropbox. So if you go back to our D2L site and you look at the Dropbox, I don't think I can see it right now with this view. But when you look at that, you'll see that I've also attached a PDF to that lab. So whatever's attached to this lab is going to be the same thing that's attached here. So there's a Lab 1 Dropbox with a PDF attached, as well as in the course material. So again, this is my full structure. You guys will start. This will be the root of what you can see here. You'll also see that as a Google Doc within that labs folder. ISOs and VMs. So what we'll talk about in the next video is what we need to set up for our local development test environment, and we're going to need a handful of VMs in order to do that. One of them will be either Backtrack 5 or Kali, and we'll talk about that. So don't worry about it too much here. We'll talk about that in the next video for the next lab, for the first lab. The important thing to understand is if you look at this file, it's a 2 gig file, and so you're going to need to be able to download these relatively large files from wherever you're at. And the only reason I say that is because from time to time we'll have students that take the course and will be overseas or even deployed, and so they'll have a really tough time because of the bandwidth limitations that they have in getting this material. If you cannot get this downloaded, if you cannot or are not going to be in a position to get large files downloaded, to get your local VM set up for your lab environment, you need to let me know. We have the IA lab, the Information Assurance Lab, and that provides us, or provides me, the ability to create these same virtual machines for you, but then you access them through your browser. And so it's still, if you're limited on bandwidth, it's still going to be a tough experience, but it'll make it better than having to download a 2 or a 3 gigabyte file. Okay, so you just need to make sure. I don't have any of those machines prepared right now. So if you think you're going to use one or you want to use one, let me know as soon as possible so that I can get that machine made, and we can communicate with the team that runs the IA lab to get that machine pushed out to you. Okay, it's not an instantaneous thing. I don't have full access to it, so it takes a little bit of time. Let's see, slides, labs, ISOs, and VMs. So we covered all that. Additionally, as labs, there'll be some additional resources that we'll need to use, and so I'll upload that in the appropriate place here. I may even just create another folder with a resources folder and put information in there. So as that's made available, again, I'll make sure to point it out in our videos, or just simply make it clear somehow. As far as the syllabus goes, there isn't a whole lot that we need to cover here that we haven't already. Here is your copy, so please feel free to download this in any file format. You should be able to export it as a docx or PDF if you'd like. Covers everything that we've already talked about. Okay, so here's me. I'm located in East Hall 007, so if you are in the Madison area and you do want to set up a time to meet in person, let me know, and we can try to coordinate something. Again, just keep in mind campus over the summer, because there are no on-campus classes held. It gets pretty quiet here, and so most faculty are not on campus, including myself. There's my email, office hours by appointment. Here are the 2 required textbooks with ISBNs. Again, this could vary based off of the version, so you can purchase either version that you want. 3 credit hour class for summer 2015 offered by Dakota State University. Here's the the course objectives as per the course catalog. Introductory course, right? So I'm going to combine that introductory component with as much hands-on as I can. Assessments, so the vast majority of our points are going to come from those labs with a final, culminating with a final lab. Okay, so most labs will be worth 10 or 15 points, and then the final will be worth probably 30 or 40 points, and you'll see that that'll help gauge where you're at as we're progressing through the semester. No quizzes, and there may be just a handful of no exams, I'm sorry, but there may be a handful of quizzes as we progress. Homework, everything is due through the Dropbox. Okay, so please submit everything through the Dropbox and watch that Dropbox for those due dates. Extra help, let me know. Please let me know if you're struggling with anything, and I can help you out. Attendance, okay, your expectation, because this is an online course, is that you watch the videos, you read the material, and you work on the labs. Okay, so your attendance is considered watching the videos. If you reach out to me for help, one of the first things I'll probably ask you is, well, what have you done so far? What has worked? What have you tried? What hasn't worked? And so please make sure that you are following along, because oftentimes a lot of the answers is in what we covered. Late work, okay, so let's try to minimize late work as much as possible. Here is the policy for late work. Again, if you contact me in advance, we can usually work something out. If you don't, there is a process here for you to make up the late work, right? I understand. First thing I say is no late work will be accepted. I understand that life happens. So even if you can't be proactive in doing that, and something significant comes up, please let me know so that we can work something out. Okay, talked about dishonesty, plagiarism. Please avoid it. Missed deadlines. Please see the above. Dates, the academic calendar. So as of this point in time, the summer calendar has not been updated, but please refer to that, because that will have the authoritative information for things like the last date of withdrawal. I'll try to remember to point that out, but ultimately it's up to you to keep track of that calendar. So if at any point in time you're not doing so well in the course and you're not sure if you should withdraw or not, you need to let me know, and you need to make sure you're aware of that date as well. I'll try to point that out through D12 News or through an email, but please, while we're talking about it, while you're watching this, pause the video, whatever you need to do, take a look at the calendar, mark those dates. If you need to mark them dates, put a reminder in your calendar, put a reminder on your phone so that you don't forget. There isn't too many things that are significant other than the date to withdraw from the course completely, which is usually within the first week or week and a half, and then the last date to withdraw with a W. ADA policy, okay, you can read that. If you need or have any accommodations for disability, please provide me with the proper documentation, and we will take it from there. Freedom in learning, okay, we're talking technology. We will not talk politics or religion, and we will avoid that to the max extent possible, and that we will just be talking about security and programming and things along those lines. However, there's no however there. Okay, you're expected to have your own method of accessing the course material, so you need to have a PC, a laptop of some sort. You need to be the administrator on that so you can install software. If you're using a laptop provided by the university, you're fine. If you're using your own, then you should be fine as well. If you're going to have trouble with any of that, again, let me know so that we can figure out if it's going to be a problem moving forward. First and foremost, I want you to learn. And as I mentioned in the introduction throughout this, I feel it necessary to say multiple times, I'm not creating anything to frustrate anybody. Everything we talk about, I think, is very important for a foundational experience moving into the programs here at Dakota State. And so my number one concern, my number one priority is that you guys learn and learn as much as you can out of this class. Now, as with most programs, as with most courses, you're going to be presented with the opportunity to do more, to do less, and I can't necessarily force or control that. And so it is up to you. The onus is on you to really maximize that experience. For those that want to, I'm more than happy to go above and beyond what we're offering in the course, additional challenges, additional resources, thoughts, anything you want. Do not hesitate to contact me, even if it's beyond the material. Right? If you guys want to talk about the career, my experience as a developer and a security person, anything, please let me know. Don't hesitate to contact me. Modifications to the course, I do reserve the right to make any adjustments at any point in time. So that's kind of that nice disclaimer. It's always the last thing in any sort of documentation like this. I won't unless I feel it absolutely necessary, or as I mentioned earlier, you guys are communicating with me, and there's some other things we want to explore throughout the course. So the more you communicate with me, the better off we can make the course. All right, so that's our syllabus, and the last thing I want to look at today then is just our tentative schedule. So here you can see, if we go back to our course folder in my Google Drive account, here's our tentative schedule. It's a spreadsheet looking thing. And this is going to be, you can see it's not completely filled out at this point. By the time you watch this or shortly thereafter, you will see that it will be filled out. This will be subject to change, and I will do my best to keep this as up to date as I possibly can. If you see or notice any deviation in what I'm saying or doing in the schedule, please let me know so that I can correct that. How this is going to be laid out then is we have our week, so this is just the Monday of that week. This is the week number, so 1 through 12, so this should get us to the end of the semester here, assuming that we start on the 18th anyway. And this is what I'm expecting for that week. So through that YouTube playlist, you'll find a couple of videos. They're going to label them Video 1, Video 2, or Week 1, Video 1, Week 1, Video 2. But one, this video here, and then the next one that introduces us to the basics of web hacking, Chapter 1. The reading then for this week will be Chapter 1, and then we'll have a lab assignment, in which case then for the due date, remember, check the Dropbox. Week 2, Video 3, Video 4, so Recon and Scanning, which correlates to Chapter 3 in the basics of web hacking, so BWH, and Introduction to Security, which is just a general conversation that we'll have in a 30 or so minute video talking about some of the basics there. We'll have Lab 2, and then we'll just continue. So you should see the idea behind this is just really to reinforce overall what to expect for the course over the summer. So you should see that we're going to get into a rhythm, and it's really just going to be rinse and repeat for 12 weeks. The material is obviously going to change. The complexity of the labs are going to change and what you're doing, but we're going to start every week off with a video or two, and you'll see that the videos will start to thin out here as we get towards the end of the semester. We'll have a little bit of reading, and then we'll also have a lab. So my expectations are to keep up with that, and they should be pretty consistent throughout the course. So hopefully that makes it just a little bit easier on you guys and your schedules. All right, so I think that covers it. I'm looking forward to a great course and talking about a lot of great topics. There's a lot of really cool things that we get to introduce and work through, and I hope you guys will really enjoy that. As I mentioned before, I'll just say one last time, please don't hesitate to contact me about anything at all. How the course is going, about the assignments, any troubles you're having, anything at all. I'd love to hear from you and work with you throughout the summer here as we move through the course. So with that, I'll stop the video, and I'll see you guys in our next video.